Do you want to stand out more from your competitors, connect more deeply with your customers, and sell more? In this video, we're going to talk about unique value proposition. And with me, I have Armel Grimault from Phosworks. Welcome, Armel.
Thank you.
I'm going to start simple. What is unique value proposition?
Well, in a few words, the value proposition tells a story on how you're creating value for the customer. It's at the core of your business. It's not a catchy tagline. It's more like a promise of how you are going to make the customer's life better. You're essentially saying, this purchase will outperform your expectation and will solve the problem that needs to be solved. And the value proposition is actually, it's bigger than the product itself.
Thank you for the clarification, Armel. But do you have a couple of examples just to make it even more clear?
Yeah, sure. Say that you're, for example, selling toothpaste in a compostable packaging. What you're selling is a physical good, but what the customer is actually buying is the satisfaction of doing something good for the environment. So the product is toothpaste, but your value proposition is being part of the solution and caring for the environment. Or say, for example, that you have an app for better sleep. The app is the product, but if you sleep better, you'll have more energy, you'll spend more time with your kids, you have a better immune system so you don't get sick. So while the product is an app, your value proposition is a tool to improve your life.
So basically, look at the perspective from the customer and their needs and maybe even passions. I know that when you have lectures at UIC for the startups there, you mentioned a book from the company Stratregist, and it's about unique value proposition canvas. Can you just walk us through that?
Yeah. To understand the canvas, it is good to understand where it's coming from. It all starts with the lean canvas that the startups at UIC are using to map out how they create value for their organization. The value proposition canvas focuses on two of the boxes of the lean canvas, the customer segment and the value proposition. So the value proposition canvas in its turn has two sides to match the lean canvas. On the right side, you have the customer profile where you describe everything you know about the customer. And on the left side, you have got the value map where you describe how you create value for your customers.
Okay, Armel. So let's start with the customer profile. What are we looking at there, and guide us through it?
We see that the profile is divided in three parts. The customer jobs, customer pains, and customer gains. The first one, the customer job, is the most important. The business expert Clayton Christensen says that success doesn't come from understanding the customer. Success comes from having a deep understanding of the job the customer is trying to do. In the case of our toothpaste, the most obvious job is cleaning your teeth. But it also does an emotional job because there is a feel-good feeling of doing something for the environment. But your toothpaste could also be more expensive. So your customer are able to say, I care about the environment, but I can also afford it. So there is a social aspect to the job. So you should never take the first obvious functional job of something. You have to, for example, a car, it takes you from A to B, but it also expresses a lot about your social status. So a car does a very important social job. And the tricks there is actually to ask the question why, time and time again. So it's why, until you come to the bottom of what the customer is trying to get done.
This is really interesting. Thank you. We do have a number 2, and that is the customer pains. What about that?
Yeah. The customer pains is the problems that the customer experience when they are trying to get the job done. Usually that's an easy one for companies to map out because they have an understanding of their customers. But try to make it more tangible by using numbers.
Okay. And then finally, we have the customer gains. Tell us about the third section.
The customer gains describe the benefits your customer expect by getting a job done. Remember, it's not all about the functional job, but there is also the social and the emotional one. In the case of our sleeping app, for example, a gain could be more energy, so you can spend more time, quality time with your kids, or it could be more productive at work because your brain feels refreshed.
That's really good examples. And now we have looked at just one half of the value proposition model. I know that we have another half. Can you walk us through that?
Yes, absolutely. The first half looks at the customer profile and your understanding of your customer, and the second half is about the value map, how are you creating value for your customer. That part is also divided into three parts. First part, it's called product and services, where you describe your offering. Usually that's an easy one because that's your own offering. The second part is called pain relievers, and this is how you relieve the problem, you solve the problems for the customer according to your product and services. And the third and final part is gain creators. How do you create gains, benefits for your customers according to your offering?
This is so valuable. So when you have filled in all these three parts in both two sides, what's the next step for the entrepreneur to take?
Once you fill both sides, you need to look at how they fit with each other. You want to see, is there a gap or is there an overlap? Are your gain creators matching the gains that the customers are expecting? Or are the problems you're solving actually the problems that your customers are experiencing? This is the fit is the very important part of the model.
So good. And when you've done all this, how do you go from the canvas to an actual value proposition?
Yes. Once you fill both sides, you can use this model to start writing your value proposition. And what you do, you pick the elements from the different sides to build the sentence, your value proposition sentence. The sentence at the beginning won't make much sense because it's just words, so you will have to rewrite it several times until it makes sense. But if you've done the exercise correctly, you will be able to test with different elements against your target group.
That's a really helpful model, and I actually recommend working with it. But before we end this chat, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, the whole point of this exercise, value proposition canvas, is to assess if there is a fit between a market fit between your offering and the customers. Because we know that a poor fit is one of the main reasons why startups fail. So this is a very important exercise to get right.
Great last words. Thank you so much, Armel.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Phosworks for supporting entrepreneurs. But before I end this chat, I have 3 key takeaways that I want to remind you of. The first one is start working with the customer profile and their point of views. The second key takeaway is the company value. What does your company do to satisfy the customer's needs? And the third key takeaway for today is make sure to create a concise statement that communicates how your company stands out and brings value to your customers. Thank you.